Welcome. Before I get into the main paper, I want to give a few opinions on the final call for the May Djwhal Khul Rule 1 study group and why I feel it's so important. I've spent the last 15 years searching down esoteric material for myself and to share on my channel, hence the almost 5,000 audios currently online. I've seen many teachers, organizations, gurus selling courses from 500 to 5,000 or more, guaranteeing awakening, ascension protocols, and everything else under the sun. If you have learned anything from this channel, I hope you have learned one thing, that your journey is a singular journey, and only you are responsible for your spiritual evolution. And part of that journey is finding the wisdom that truly resonates with your heart and doing a deep dive. Ascension is not a struggle. It is a divine birthright. Everything that you are struggling with now has been consciously or subconsciously set up by you. There is no locked door, there is no hidden key, and there is no secret handshake. I have used one benchmark when reading material from professed gurus. Will he allow me to share the entire work, unrestricted and freely, with my listeners? Well, so what does that tell me? It tells me that they have not attached their ego to the work that they have brought through that was intended for the world, not just for the few that can afford their books and courses and tapes. They sincerely and truly realize that the information was not theirs, but simply came through them by the grace of God or Source. So if you have any interest in spiritual evolution, I suggest you sign up for the study group today, and with an open heart, complete each lesson, even if it means missing an episode of Bob's Burger once a week. These lessons are free, but they are invaluable. They come from a higher vibrational source and will only benefit your journey back to Source. I will be taking the lessons also. My love for wisdom comes from my father, a university professor, theologian, and Lutheran minister for 50 years, who had a personal library of 50,000 books in his home office and continued to read and study until the day of his ascension. So why don't you join me in this course, and if you've already signed up, be sure to verify the second email that was sent out, and hey, we'll see you in May. Now for the paper. Part 1. New Living Organisms. Revelation of Group Feeling. Rule 1 Study Group Djwhal Khul, January 8, 2019. Welcome, dear brothers and sisters of the Way. Once again I come before you to speak of matters that shall assist this new group for the study of Rule 1 of the 14 Rules for Group Initiation. I do this as part of creating a focal point or point of tension, as well as opening up other avenues and offer an opportunity to expand one's awareness into higher consciousness and for a more capacious and extensive means by which a disciple and initiate can move closer to the attainment of the Christ consciousness. Human consciousness is ever evolving, and the support of this growth and advancement comes from the use of teachings where comprehension, knowledge, and the ability to discern all information for oneself through your own I Am presence offers a lighter passage through human creation and the illusion of man-made beliefs. I am today going to carry this current teaching upon initiation as part of this new living organism group formation another step forward, and I'm going to seek to show you that it's not essentially a process of soul-personality fusion, which many believe, though that has been a preliminary step, but a monad personality integration, carried forward because it have attained alignment with the soul. The study of the 14 rules for group initiation shall provide all the information and knowledge necessary for the full comprehension of this process, and here in Rule 1, which is the limit for now for you to focus upon, shall pave the way to allow you time to show you how such an increase can be attained to step forward into the conscious vibration as a living Christ. Initiation is in fact the essential and inevitable process of transferring the primary triplicity of manifestation into the basic duality of spirit matter. It is the dissolution of the intermediary, and to this the crucifixion and death of the Christ was dedicated and intended to be the revelation, to the initiates of the past 2,000 years, of the transmutation of the trinity of manifestation into the duality of purpose. I cannot word this any other way, but the enlightened will comprehend my meaning. Those whose inner discernment is refined enough shall find a certain solace, comfort, or succor within these words. The interpreters of the Gospels and many disciples of the Christian dispensation have singularly failed to grasp this revelation, They have laid the emphasis upon the death of the personality, whereas when Christ experienced a great void of darkness and chanted aloud the occult mantra, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" he was recognizing simultaneously the distinction between his robe of glory, symbolized by the partition of his garment by a Roman soldiery, and also calling the attention all future disciples and initiates to the disappearance of the middle principle, the soul. He was projecting into the world consciousness the recognition which must come of relation to the Father or the monad. This great disillusion is culminated for us at the time of the third initiation, when the light of the monad obliterates the light of the soul and the material atomic light of the threefold personality. But here is the point. The recognition of this death and its effect is only symbolically enacted and recognized at the time of the fourth initiation, the crucifixion. All lesser disillusion, death, renunciation, and disappearance of that to which the lower nature holds, and is held as enacted to relation to the accustomed aspects of form life, and of conscious sensitivity and awareness. They are simply preparatory to, and symbolic of the final great dissolution of the causal body consummated at the crucifixion. This leads to the resurrection or uprising of the personality soul consciousness, duly fused and blended into that of the monad. This is finally carried to the point of solar perfection at the ascension initiation. I have given you this information in terms of the Christian presentation, as it may be simpler for you to grasp. But there are many other formulations and approaches to these truths, and the newer they are, the more difficult necessarily are they to present. Only those who are on the immediate verge of initiation will understand. The others will prefer to interpret these truths themselves in an easier and well-known formula of the preparatory stage of the unification of the soul and personality. So the study, dear brothers and sisters, is an initiatory stage for the advancement of the human consciousness, and only those who are ready will find their way here. We have discussed revelation in previous discourses, and you would do well to review these at your own leisure. But I tell you that all the discourses I give within the study groups are all very pertinent to the energies of the day, more so than in the day when my original teachings were given to humanity. The formula of revelation is peculiar so, when rightfully used, shall bring about these revelations. 1. The revelation of group feeling. 2. The revelation of the Master as he is, the center of light and power within the circle. 3. The revelation of the point of life at the center of all forms. These effects, resulting from right comprehension of the formula and many others, might be regarded as reactions, automatic and inevitable. I use this word reaction, for these reactions are frequently, and I might say usually, unconscious, and it is only gradually that the disciple or initiate wakes up to the fact that by quiet reflection upon the formula, certain expansion of consciousness, a greater sensitivity, and the intuitive recognition of the hitherto unseen and unrealized have wrought definite changes in his subjective nature. He or she does the required work, and the results naturally and simply happen. Here is a hint as to the need for occult obedience. I have the responsibility of indicating to you the work I want done and the steps to be taken. You subsequently have to do the work. Most of you living normally as you do in the world of effects and not in the world of causes are preoccupied with the possible results and the phenomenal differences, if I might call them so, which are expected by you to eventuate from the work. Therefore, instead of concentrating upon exactitude of work and meticulous obedience, your energy goes into the thought of what will happen, into the consideration of the difficulties of the work, and into your belief that no results are demonstrated in your particular case. Primarily what I am doing in giving you these formulas is to aid you to work in the world of cause, and so draw you consciously out of the world of effects. Therefore, I would ask you to do the indicated work, to concentrate your minds upon these formulas of power, working without attachment, and refrain from looking for results, knowing that they will be there, even though they may be unrecognized by you, until your focus is more definitely subjective. I did not say introspective, my dear brothers and sisters, but subjective. To be an introvert really means that you as a thinking personality are always looking into your inner feeling and thought life. That is not living subjectively. It is living as an outer observer who looks within. To live subjectively means that the focus of your consciousness is within, and from that point you look in two directions, outward at the personality upon the physical plane and inward at the soul. Ponder on this. The distinction is very real, and one that you should grasp. The man or woman who knows the difference between living an introspective life and a subjective life is well on the way to become a true esotericist. There is another facet of this work I wish to bring to your attention within this group study. The planetary crisis through which the planetary logos is at this time passing should result in the emergence of many initiates. No true disciple is exempt from the effects of this planetary situation. Inevitably, changes are wrought by the soul in the personal life. When these changes are focused through the lower centers in the lower bodies, the general result is purification and character building. The aspirant is then still upon the probationary path. When the disciple is in the position where he or she can pass through the first three initiations, then the inflowing energies work through the heart, the throat, and the ajna centers. When the highest head center and the lowest spinal center are simultaneously involved, the disciple is then able to take the higher major initiations. Much of this has been given to you in the earlier teachings you may receive, but I repeat these statements so that with clarity you may proceed. We will discuss them further in the later rules. The procedures involve connection with your I Am Presence, your higher self or monad. It concerns your ability to call upon divine intervention. Divine intervention is a result of prayer. And I would point out that there is a distinction between divine intervention and answered prayer. One admits of reciprocal energies, the other predicates action from above only. The measure of success in either case is dependent upon humanity as a whole. Classically, the body is not equipped to receive the fire from the eye of God until consciousness is importuned to racial need. This is secondary to divine intervention, which isolates a few and uses their organisms to fuse and free the energies of dispersion. This is a sudden death to the physical vehicle if unprepared. Think upon this and know the consequence of emotional fanaticism. There are three ways whereby the inception may come. 1. Disciples aware of their charge, relinquish all personal ambition, and are willing to meet the test and be used. For, be not surprised, my brother or sister, a disciple can meet the test if he or she will. Accepted discipleship is in itself a guarantee of a certain amount of preparedness administered through right devotion, pure purpose, and rigid discipline. 2. The focused intent of the hard-pressed people of the world clamoring for peace forms a nucleus of unregenerative energy which can and will be used. It is less potent in effect, but in these days of crisis everything must be used. 3. Every kingdom on earth is encumbered with shock, animal, vegetable, mineral, as well as human. This disturbance is a phase of promotion. There are crashed areas of released energy causing forces to be freed, which again can and will be used in this reconstruction. The responsibility of this group is purpose. It shall be fused and blended and dispersed. I charge you to waste no time in idle speculation, but to carry your responsibility as it should be carried. Remember that your only value is group determined. Placement determines effort. I suggest that you analyze this statement. Consequences are hierarchical. There is a lowered vitality in the world totally due to fear psychosis. The reality is the majority of humanity has lost its connection to reality, and it shall be through these teachings that will assist in returning to the inner knowing and conscious revelations of your connections to the universal and planetary consciousness. Command your forces. Stand in the light, and the suspended mental link will recharge the magnetic field for which you, as a new group member, are responsible. The fusion exists in a small degree now, but the purpose is the magnetized line of which the fire may travel. You have preserved your interest and effort for many years now. Can you continue with this group endeavor? It is for you a task of perseverance and of faith. You may not be in your various lifetimes see the world results, that I frankly tell you. You can undoubtedly realize and reap the benefit of the group results for your fusion into one close bond of brother and sisterhood and devotion. Into one united band, treading the path together is adequate reward. It will offset the usual loneliness of the disciple's way and enable him or her to realize that he travels not alone. Above and beyond your personal compensation, which some of you know already to be your group relation, and its persistence will be the building of an aspect of a mechanism of contact, divine intervention, and of approach which can be known and seen by us from the other side of life. but which has to be largely taken on faith by you. It might be regarded as the mechanism of inspiration, for in the last analysis, it is individual and world inspiration which is the goal of all our work. This mechanism is a subjective fact, and is slowly built as disciple and initiates aspire and serve and obey. It is an individual mechanism and a group mechanism, and will eventually form part of the mechanism of humanity, viewing it as a whole and as the fourth kingdom in nature. This kingdom is destined to act as a transmitter of force, of energy and life and inspiration to the three subhuman kingdoms. It is this mechanism which will constitute the bridge between the fourth and fifth kingdom. It is the individual and the group Antakarana. This we shall be teaching in greater detail as you move through the 14 rules for group initiation. For those of you who do not know what the fifth kingdom is, it is the living embodiment of the hierarchy on earth. This is who you are becoming in this lifetime, if you can follow the guided instructions through divine intervention upon your path of initiation. Finally, before I close this guiding analysis of what is to come for you here in this group, I would like to offer you one last seat of consciousness, that of working within the environment of a living organism. There is a lot to know about this new type of group formation, and the Elemental Grace Alliance is part of the unfurling experiments to procure the correct formulas of approach to accentuate the backbone, the template of design and implementation for such groups. You will hear much about the new living organisms as group formation, and it is through these teachings of the rules for group initiation that will offer the awareness and comprehension of how these will come into fruition into the very near future. Group initiation and foundations, and the structures from which they function, will slowly be superseded by these group-based and founded within the consciousness, Christ consciousness, and more to the point, living life by example of universal cosmic law. Should you require any further information or have any questions that may assist you over the coming days, please submit your questions to your higher self, and if the response is not sufficient for you, then place them within the group communication and will respond in joy for you. I am your brother Djwhal Khul, at your service.